Migraine sufferers, wouldn't it be nice to know exactly what foods you should be avoiding that could be causing, triggering, or prolonging the intensity and the frequency of your migraine headaches so that you start to eat the right stuff and not have that happen? That's exactly what we're going to be talking about on today's video. But first, my name is Dr. Kresimir Jug. I am a structural chiropractor from London, Ontario, Canada. We help people heal and recover from spinal-related health problems with the power of structural chiropractic care and life by design principles. And like I said on this video, what foods you need to avoid as a migraine sufferer. Now, I'm sure it's time-stamped. If you want to skip the explanation around, I think this is the most important part. I think if you can understand the ideas behind the foods that I'm going to be sharing with you, I think you can do your health a big service. But nonetheless, you can skip in the comments, it's all there. But before we get started on the specifics, we need to first talk about the current model of migraine headaches. I've recorded a video. I'm gonna write down to timestamp it so you can check out a further explanation. So we used to believe that migraines were caused by contraction. This is contraction and dilation of the blood vessels in your brain. We're getting away from that model and we're learning that your nerve system sensitivity is at the root of what's causing migraine headaches. Now, what does it mean to have a sensitive nerve system? It means that your nerve system or that your body reacts far too quickly to stimulus. So everything that we do, if we're trying to get your body into a better place, needs to deal with the health and the integrity of your nerve system, according to this new model. Now, how does food play a role in that? Well, food, I mean, really when you think about it, and I know that it's more than this, like, listen, trust me, former fat kid, still have some fat kid tendencies, meaning, you know, food, physiologically speaking, serves as building blocks to your body and to your health. It's very similar to building a house in the sense that you need wood, you need piping, right? You need brick. So you get these raw materials and then you assemble them into the house. Well, when you put food into your body, if it's food, what your body does with that is it breaks apart the macronutrients and the micronutrients, and it uses each of those to create what's necessary for you to live, survive, and to deal with what you're dealing with. Now, for certain things, if you don't eat them or if you don't put them into your body has a way of manufacturing that specific nutrient from other nutrients in your body. For example, if you don't eat carbohydrates, your body has a way to make glucose. It is not an efficient process. It is very metabolically demanding, and the type of glucose that it makes is not the best for your body to use. However, it's an important nutrient and your body can create it. And now for certain other things, and this is far too deep of a topic to go into specifics, if you don't have it in your body has to make do with not having it, which can mean that some of the hormones, some of the chemicals that your body needs, if you're not fueling your body correctly, or if you are fueling your body destructively. So if you ever hear me throw around the term good food and bad food, I don't necessarily like that terminology. I don't like it because it has to do with the emotional side of eating, right? And the emotional side of food. But really, a good food is one that helps supply your body with the nutrients that it needs. And a bad food is one that takes your body away from that. Because here's the problem. If you're eating food that is not usable by your body, it promotes inflammation. It promotes an immune response. It actually increases the sensitivity of your nerve system, because those other things like immune system and inflammation, those are incredibly neurologically taxing and very high metabolic demand issues from your body, which leaves little space left over for things like making sure your nerve system can stabilize and keeping you out of a migraine headache. So that is a very long explanation. I think it's necessary. I think the more you understand why you're doing something, the more likely you are to continue to do it, and the better you are at getting the results. Now, speaking on that, I have 5 to share with you. And the first one, if you're listening intently, the first one encompasses all of the other ones. So the first and the biggest thing that you need to avoid eating, this is just for humans in general, let alone if you have migraine headaches, is fake food. So what's fake food? Well, there's different degrees to fake food. But essentially, the more that we take something from nature, which is real food, we're used to eating that, and the more that we mess with it, the less and less our bodies know what to do with it. So if you take something like a vegetable or a piece of meat, a piece of chicken, or we've been consuming that for generations. Now what that means is, because our genes get passed on, right, as we have kids and as we reproduce, the fact that we've been consuming this food for generations means that our body knows how to assimilate it. It knows what's inside. It knows how to use it. We've become very efficient at eating real food and having it be extremely beneficial to our body. So the more we get into this idea of processing food, the more likely it is that our bodies are not going to know how to process it. And like I said, there's different variations, right? Like you can take a banana, a modern day banana, which is genetically modified. And the way that it's genetically modified is it's not genetically modified in the lab, it's genetically modified through crossbreeding, because an OG banana has extremely large seeds and it's extremely fibrous and nobody would eat it, whereas a modern banana that we could buy at the grocery store is delicious and sweet, and yet our body can assimilate it just fine. And then on the furthest end, you get some of these creations that are made, in the lab. Some of the treats and the sweets that have no real food in them whatsoever, right? And food companies talk about things like craveability factors, and they're trying to make this food addicting so you keep eating it. My point is, the closer that you can get to food that is one ingredient, vegetable, salad, steak, potatoes, and the more you can keep away from foods that are extremely fake, and you can eat enough of the good foods, you're making more raw materials available for your body to be able to heal and to recover. Okay, so number one, and really everything else that I talk about will fall under this category, but the most important thing that you want to start avoiding if you're having migraine headaches is fake food in general, okay? Number 2 is gluten and grains. So why gluten and grains together? Well, gluten is a protein that is found in grain products. I'm a big proponent of eliminating or minimizing grains. So grains are things like breads, wheat, oatmeal, right? Anything that grows like that. The reason that I am a big fan of eliminating that is because, number one, there's really no, other than carbohydrates, which you can get from other sources that are better, there's nothing necessary that you need from that food that you have to have, and there is potential harm in eating them. So we've heard a lot about, for example, gluten allergies, or people that are gluten intolerant. So gluten is a protein that's found in grains, and what happens is when it gets into your body, some people's body doesn't know how to react. It mounts a immune response, creates inflammation. And then, there's been studies that have been linking, and I'm not saying it's causing it, but there's studies that have been linking gluten and other grain-like proteins to autoimmune diseases and neurological disorders, for example. Here's the thing with this. I understand what it is that I'm asking you. This is really hard to start eliminating some of the foods. So it's a work in progress, right? Nobody's asking you to wake up tomorrow and have a completely new diet. It's next to impossible to do that and sustain it. If you're one of those rare few that can, good for you. I was not one of those. So yeah, that's number 2, gluten and grains. Number 3 is the fake fats. So fake fats are things like canola oil and seed oils, and really things that have no fat in them whatsoever, right? So the issue with these fake oils is very similar to grains and to gluten, is our bodies don't know what to do with them. They rancidify, or they become rancid very, very quickly. And then when we put them into our body, it creates, again, another immune response and can create all sorts of collateral damage. It's much better to cook on saturated fat and eat real fat like olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, things that, going back to the big idea, things that actually exist in nature. So number 3 is fake fats. Number 4 is sugar. I'm not saying to give up the fruit, okay? But I am saying to please watch the packaged foods that you're eating and be careful for how much sugar, which can be high fructose corn syrup, glucose, maltodextrin. There are other names that they can sneak the sugar into your body. Don't get me wrong, I think sugar is delicious. I understand where you're coming from. However, for the same principle as everything else, once that gets into your body, it is harder to metabolize, which takes more of your nerve system away to be able to metabolize and to break down the sugar, leaving less to deal with things like migraine headaches. And last but not least, and this is like higher level, is the FODMAP group. So FODMAP, I had to write it out. It stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. So things like tomatoes, eggplants, peppers. This can be a really hard diet to follow. That's why I left it to last. If you started from number 1 and worked your way up, I think it would be a lot easier to start there. However, one of the things that happens when your digestive system starts to become damaged is the damage can multiply, and sometimes it can become great enough that even real food becomes harder to eat. So some people will notice inflammation when they eat FODMAP foods, so things like eggplant and broccoli and cauliflower and tomatoes. Okay, so I wouldn't start there. However, it's something that if food is really sensitive and it's giving you a hard time, eliminate. And I don't consider this a food, but a conversation around alcohol. So if you want to count alcohol, I'll write it in as number 6. If you want to count it in as something to eliminate, again, I understand the challenges. However, alcohol is extremely destructive to your body. It is very metabolically demanding to eliminate alcohol. It can cause an immune reaction, and it's not necessarily the best for migraine headaches. I know that's a lot of information. Please post your comments below. I would love to chat and to answer them. Hope you're having a great day. We'll talk to you soon.